Do you like Candace Owens or do you absolutely detest her? Do you like me or do you absolutely loathe me? Wherever you stand on two polarising figures, here we are in conversation. Now, obviously, we talk about politics. Particularly, I wanted to press Candace Owens on the idea that most people that live in systems of elitism and privilege are in those positions because of advantages that have been endowed upon them. Candace Owens, more of an individualist than I am, you might imagine, strongly contests my perspective. Hopefully, we remain respectful and light and kind with one another while vehemently disagreeing. I'm going to have further conversations with Candace Owens, so look out for those. This conversation took place on my podcast, Under the Skin, available on Luminary. You can subscribe to it. There's a link in the description. Let me know what you think about this conversation in the comments below.
Look, I agree, but do you not think this individualistic culture is in itself destroying the principles at a spiritual, human level of community? Do you not think when people see this economic inequality, this disparity, I'm not talking about hating your little rich friend Lola Bell or whoever it was, you went round to see her nanny and weren't infuriated by it, but thought, oh, well, maybe one day I'll have my own nanny. Do you not think that economic inequality creates in a human being a sense of injustice, of unfairness? Because people, do you know what, Candice? 90% of people that are rich, do you know why they're rich? They was born rich.
Okay, I can tell you something. I think that economic disparity creates that feeling, but a fundamental understanding in economics can help you.
Do you know that
that
the most people that are rich are born rich? It's not like there's a tiny minority of people that are like you that come from a poor background and manage to overcome it. And this is what's a problem I've noticed with a lot of great people, is they sort of believe that their greatness is something that can be replicated, and I don't think it can.
I see. So I believe in the individual. You don't. That's our fundamental differences.
That the primary goal of the individual should be to serve the community.
I do not believe that the primary goal of
what
an
do you
individual,
think the primary goal of the
I think that once an individual feels that they have served, so you're discounting the human spirit.
I'm not discounting
it.
I'm saying that's all there is.
Let me ask you. No, there's not. In a humanity, think of animals in the wild. You don't even have to go to humanity. We can just think about animals in the wild. What is our human instinct, okay? Are you going to make sure that everyone on this block is fed before you feed yourself? Do you go around and say, hey, have you had breakfast this morning?
Listen,
hey, have you had breakfast this morning? Hey, or you're going to make sure you're eating. And if you have an excess, of course you're going to do the human condition, and our incentives are going to be to want to help people.
Are you mental? Excess. The richest 15 people on the planet have got as much accumulative wealth as the poorest 5 billion.
But
that's an excess.
No.
That's an excess.
Okay. Excuse me. First and foremost, you're talking about literally 0.00001% of the world is what
Let's
you're talking about. Okay,
Let's get 'em.
And what are they preaching? What do they want? Socialism, so that nobody else has the opportunity to become what they've become. They're the ones that are pushing for
socialism.
Yes,
That's not real socialism. Well,
are you kidding? George Soros doesn't want socialist policies. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, doesn't want socialist policies. They want to make sure that no one else has the opportunity to get to where they got.
We need to discuss our language, me and you, because
we do.
Here's what my socialism looks like. Take Jeff Bezos' wealth from him, except for a reasonable stipend for him to live on. Something like, he can have 10 million a year or something. Tax Amazon to the ground.
So the rich people pay for 85% of all of the taxes. You think they should pay for even more?
Do you think
that's fact? That's fact. Yes.
Don't look at me with
I'm telling you,
fact.
That's a fact.
Face.
The top 10% pay for 85% of all the taxes. When people say they're going to raise their taxes more, I'm just like, how much more? Should we just say just pay for all the taxes?
I say this, that there is no, when you're about to use an example from the natural world, and then
I'm talking about America, by the way.
I
forgot that I'm in. No, I was gonna say the instinct when you're in the natural world is that you feed your family first. You're not the idea that socialism tries to create goes against
human. We are no longer in the natural world, are we? We're in a world of sort of accumulation and excess, and I don't think it's even working. I wonder about sort of look, I want, because you could say, where do you draw the line? Because look at me, I've got money now, I'm not poor anymore, and I'm not going, right, I'll just take everything that's, the thing that I do agree with when I see like sort of right-wing commentators talk, like they talk about people that are, in inverted commas, from the left, and they go, well, why don't you put some refugees in your house? Why don't you give up your money? And the reason is because people are selfish, and in all of us, there is a kind of battle between, like some of my impulses, Candice, are, I just want pleasure and fun, and I don't care about anything except myself. That's in me. Mm-hmm. That's in me, and it's strong. But I personally think I don't feel good when I live that way. There are consequences for me, and there are consequences for others. So I kind of want to live within systems that encourage collective and communal values.
The
That instead
theft.
of
We're talking about theft.
no, we're not talking about theft.
Demanding that people give up their stuff is theft, but it sounds pretty when you say
Listen, you.
encourage incentives. No, when the government comes and
I'm not-
demands
you
that I
keep
give to someone else,
listen,
that's theft.
You keep translating what I'm saying
helping you.
into. No, you're not helping me. You're,
He's
you're
talking about theft.
You're translating what I'm saying into rhetoric that you can argue with, creating straw men of my words as we go, so
not
you
straw
can kick
man.
them
That
over.
is theft.
No, that's. I'm not saying that. I'm not espousing the values of big government. I'm not saying that there's any political party that currently exists that in any way represents my views. I'm just asking if in politics, both personally and collectively, there's room for a little more compassion and love. And whilst I agree with your that there is something easy to fetishize about individual achievements in your own case or wherever we see greatness, we can't take that example of the ability of the individual to overcome adversity to condemn people that haven't been able to. Like, where is there a role then for compassion and kindness? I'm not saying let's
Not
create a
in
big
politics.
government and take away
Not
all
in
your...
politics. So my thing is that the conversation should be completely separate. Americans give $500 billion in charity every single year. Okay, it has been proven that when you lower the tax rate, when you government stays out of our paycheck, we actually give more. That we're inclined to. If you have more money and you're able to do it, of course you want to give and you want to help. When the government is saying we're going to tax your business, if you're successful, you're going to get taxed more. You know, what is the incentive for you to want to jump and build a business if you know that you're going to be penalized for it? You're going to be penalized for success. That's why we believe in limited government. When I say we, obviously I work for an organization, Turning Point USA.
Oh yeah, what's that all about?
It's a winning back.
Turning Point.
Turning Point
What are we
USA.
meant to
We're
turn
launching
to?
it in the UK, TP UK. That's what this whole trip is about. It sounds
You're
good
hold
too.
on a minute. You're launching Turning Point, and like Turning Point is what? What do you want us to turn to?
It's conservative principles taught in the school system because the kids are learning this lolly-dolly merry-go-round. The world's going to be purple and we're all going to have lollipops in the school systems. And then possibly from your podcast, I guess I haven't watched enough episodes. And it's just not. It's the truest, the economic model of letting people find success because they're willing to work hard. If you don't want to work hard, you shouldn't be rewarded. I don't believe in that. I don't believe, well, what about the person who doesn't have your drive?
Why should economic systems govern the way that we live our lives? Why is there not room for people to be different? Why is it that a person's
You can't
value
be
and
different.
worth should be distilled into
That's called the natural
economic
market. You can't make
units?
that go away.
That's not called the natural
Yes, it is.
market.
You can't make that
You've
go
applied
away,
that
no matter
idea to-
what. Tell me in the history of the world where there hasn't been some give and some take. You can't make that go away. There's no magic wand that you can wave that's going to make human incentives and what happens in humanity go away. Doesn't matter how rich or how poor society is. There's going to be give, there's going to be take. People are going to create natural markets. I have 3 apples. I'll give you 2 apples if you give me this. I mean, that it just happens. This is the way the
Sure.
world works.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have certain natural impulses to trade and to cooperate.
Well, if you're enjoying that conversation with Candice, let me know who you thought made the best points. Who do you agree with more? Who do you disagree with, for heaven's sake? If you want to listen to the rest of it, go over to Luminary and subscribe. I do podcasts like this all the time. Ben Shapiro's been on, Jordan Peterson's been on. In any event, if you enjoyed this video, have a look at this one. Very similar sort of themes and ideas. And if you want some well-being, spirituality, go over to my side channel, Awakening. Subscribe to this one, subscribe to that one, and go over to russellbrand.com and get on my mailing list so I can communicate directly with you too. Thank you.